Hi, my name's Cameo. I thought I would video you since you have 1,000 or so whatever pages to flip through, look at, whatever. I'll try to make this quick. Anyway, I guess the first thing is, thank you for taking the time to look at my case, my complaint, whatever we want to call it. Based on the retaliation that I was put through in 2015 and 16, I'm pretty certain that Texas A&M University considers itself above the law, because boy, they were not going by any of the stuff that is written down in policy. And the one policy that they changed in August about the 15-day investigation to 30-day investigation was because they did 3 extensions with my first initial complaint that I submitted April 26th, and I got the response back July 31st of 15. No valid evidence. How do you do 67 working days and come up with no valid evidence? Every complaint I submitted, the letter came back, no valid evidence. And I'm like, wow, I just sent you all this evidence. So I finally figured out, oh, I'm just letting them know what they got to defend themselves against. They weren't doing anything to help me at all. One of the things I noticed was on the interviews, they interviewed Brad Urbanzik 3 times. I only saw him like twice in 2015 in passing. So I'm thinking, what? Anyway, I checked the dates. They talked to him the day before they took my vacation away, and they talked to him the day before the corrective action document, December 4th, which was actually 9 working days after they returned my vacation time, November 13th. And November 10th was when I submitted the complaint about the eye washes being years behind. And the men who worked for Swati Kale, who did the eye washes, they didn't have their vacation time suspended. So that was my proof that it was retaliation, on top of the fact that when they took my vacation time away, July 17th of 15, there was no warning that that was even an option or could happen. I'd never heard of that happening in all 23 years that I'd worked at A&M. They also didn't explain to me which buildings were behind and what exactly I needed to do in order to make things right. And she changed the schedule often, on top of the fact they gave me more than I could have done to begin with. I had a vacation approved for a couple of weeks in July that was approved back in April. So when June 30th came around and they gave me the list for July, not only was it more than any July list that I've ever had, which I have all of them, it was more than I could possibly do in the time that I was scheduled to be there in July. And they just continually kept adding on more things for me to do. Anyway, all the witness meetings, the witness meeting started July 17th and continued, and there was no notice given to me that was what I was just walked in and there's the director, and I didn't trust her because of previous things. Anyway, it all starts with me going to HR in February of 14 and saying, you know, I'm not allowed to do the job description that I have. I would like to be allowed to do the job that I have. I only have a few more years and I retire anyway. You know, but I'm tired of people not working with me and being left out and not being allowed to go to the meetings and stuff. I would just like to be allowed to do the job. I didn't file a complaint in 14, even though I had things that I could have filed a complaint against. Of course, you know, who wants to go through all of this, right? I was yelled at for over an hour and 10 minutes November 20th by Swati Kale. She stood over her desk and beat her fist on the desk trying to get me to argue with her. I couldn't get up and leave because the desk was too close to my chair, so I just sat with my back against the chair and my arms on the chair rails, and I watched her. There are so many lies in the paperwork that A&M sent the EEOC. I'm just amazed. Disappointed? Very. I thought more of them than what all has happened. And they clearly didn't think too much of me, did they? I sent information to the state fire marshal in 2016, and they finally inspected. It was December 29th of 16. They told me they were going to inspect the buildings February 27th. I finally had to open records request the report, even though they said they were going to give me a copy. Ironically, the female that they hired instead of me, because I interviewed for a deputy position in September of 16, was the one who went and inspected A&M based on the notes that I gave them. The report has James Rayner's name written as John Rayner, has February 27th written as March 13th, has my name and phone number on it, and they didn't give me any notice that I would be included on this report. They didn't put my email, which was diversitygirl@gmail.com, on it, which is how I sent them the information. Oh, go figure. And anyway, they didn't put any room numbers on this report. They just wrote up the academic building for excessive extension cord use in mechanical rooms. No room numbers. Then they wrote on there, James Rayner removed the extension cords. Again, no room numbers. They wrote up the stair rail missing to the roof, but of course they didn't write up the door completely missing, because that's not a fire code issue, because as long as you can get out, that's a good thing. Anyway, based on my experience for 16 years with safety and health, they didn't like it when I found issues that cost money. And I completely, after seeing the state fire marshal sort of inspection, they were looking for a liability. They were not looking for safety issues. They weren't following code. I went back lately to that building, and the daggum fire panel has been at half since 2015. So they just vacated half of the 4th floor instead of fixing it. I don't understand how I'm the one that gets fired when I was following the codes that I knew. And code is supposed to be the minimum. And then I find out, oh, the EOC has no jurisdiction over A&M. No wonder they treated me the way they did. HR just enabled it all. Environmental health and safety was terrible. They were really, really terrible. I audioed the meetings, let's see, from June 30th until they fired me. You know, they sent everybody home early and then fired me. 4 of them walked into my office, shut the door, and cornered me to hand me a letter of termination. And I just turned on the recorder, because after that November 20th meeting, I turned on the recorder every time I came into the office. I didn't keep all of it because I didn't talk to anybody. I kept headphones on most of the time and sat in the desk. Anyway, if you have any questions, please contact me. And I sure do hope somebody will do something to support or defend me, because I've had most of my adult life dealing with all of this. You know, when I got written up for being female, they said, oh, you know, we can't find it anywhere. We're sure you misunderstood. Here, we've talked to him about the error of his ways, and we've had him rewrite it. Here, sign this one. That was 1996. And I was like, I didn't misunderstand. That's just the proof I have of what he's been doing. I have a copy of it at home. Would you like one? Pretty sure that blackballed me. Silly me. Oh, you know, I thought like rules and policies actually meant something. Come to find out, I don't know if they do or not. And I just don't know. And as far as the religious discrimination goes, they would never talk to me about anything. They just treated me like they thought I was nuts. You know, like shun me, leave me out, look at me crazy. They didn't ever ask me to my face what my thoughts were or anything. Of course, they can't really, right? Because it would be discrimination to ask me about religious stuff. And the crazy part is, I don't even go to church. And I bet you they probably do. My experience was I bled to death in 1990 when I had my son. There's really a lot. You really don't die when you die. And nobody asked me what religion I was. Anyway, I've had 26 years to figure out the vocabulary to be able to talk about it. It's not something like I don't feel like I need to save anybody. I mean, God knows where everybody is. My thing is, God's real. Life is round. You don't die when you die. You just don't be tangible. Anyway, everybody's allowed their perceptions, right? You know, I mean, it wasn't something that I had to go around and tell everybody. It came up when people talked about funerals. I'd be like, funeral is fun or all. No such thing as coincidence. You know, my name being Cameo, O was my middle initial. Okay, when I went to get divorced in 2007, I asked for my last name to be I am because I thought, well, it'll be 3 letters, and computers like 3 letters to fill in the blanks, you know, shop on the internet. And the judge said it had to be a name that was already my name. And I said, O's my name. Can I just be O? Because I answered a Cameo. Anyway, that's how it became O. Now, the Paul Harvey to that is, the first time I ever wrote anything about the near-death thing down, I mean, the first time that I ever wrote down anything public was a survey that was online in, I think, 2001. And because it was the internet, I didn't put my whole name on there, which at the time was Cami O. Wilson-Co. And I thought, well, I wanted to be honest, so I put first name Cami, last name O. 7 years later, I wind up divorced. The judge says it has to be a name that's already my name. I say, O's my name. Can I just be O? And he says, I don't see why not. And so my last name ends up being O. I go Google myself, just because curiosity, and the first thing that comes up is that near-death survey, and it's not my webpage, and I did not know that when I filled that thing out, it was just going to be open access till kingdom come, pardon the pun. So I didn't plan all this. I took the apprenticeship job because I asked God to give me a sign if I should change jobs, and I walked outside and almost got run over by a car. Okay, a cadet almost ran me over. I still have the letter of apology back from 95 when he almost ran me over. You know, when you ask God to give you a sign if you should change jobs and you're working as a parking officer and a cadet almost runs you over, yeah, you go out there and you fill out the application. You know, I have so much evidence and so much paperwork, and I get it that it only goes back 300 days. That's fine, you know, because there's plenty. Oh my goodness, they were terrible in 2015. The fact that they suspended my vacation and not the men's, and they worked for the same supervisor, and the eye washes were also under her, that should be enough, right? And screaming at me and having 4 people come in to fire me. And the work performance thing, oh, I have notes. I have all my list. I have all my inspections all the way back to 99 by month and year. I didn't plan on saving this stuff, but I sat in the same desk from 1999 till May of 2015, and I used to put it away in a notebook every Christmas by month and year. I didn't know this is what was coming, but okay, here we are. So could we please do something? Because I guarantee you, I am not the only one that they've railroaded. I just happen to be the one that stood up to them. Anyway, I wanted to thank you for your time and at least give you a face to put with all those pages. And I know it's funny that my name is Mizzo. A&M, the same month they took my title away without telling me. They sent a letter to the Attorney General calling me Mr. O. Not only do I have a piece of paper from A&M that says being female, she is a distraction to the male workers, I have documentation of them calling me Mr. I'm pretty sure they did a lot of stuff to just try and poke the bear and get some sort of reaction out of me. You know, I made it in the cartoons in the battalion for being a nice parking Nazi. I'm pretty good at handling pressure. I would like it if people would be nicer to each other. It'd be really nice if they actually followed the policies. You know, I just wanted to be able to do the job. I just wanted them to include me, let me in and do the job. I got tired of watching the men get hired and trained and promoted. You know, Adam, the paperwork that I sent the state fire marshal in 2016, 2017 showed him that Adam says he inspected buildings that were demolished the year before. And they didn't write it up. And I sent him the database and the inspections. Anyway, call me, write me, let me know something. I sure hope that y'all will defend me, because so far the lawyers just kind of look at the case and go, we don't have time for this, sorry. You know, we're not saying you don't have a case, but we're just overloaded right now. So I would appreciate it if the Department of Justice would actually defend me. You know, this whole thing is all about do unto others. They're not supposed to discriminate. I was great at that job, but that's kind of what they didn't like about it. I'm really good at noticing things that aren't supposed to be that way. And I'm probably supposed to quit videoing now. So, anyway, how do you put 23 years into 15 minutes? Yeah. Okay. I have documentation. I have paperwork. Oh, dadgummit. One of the lies that irks me, James Rayner, I worked for him. He's the one that hired me in 99. I was working for him up until 15. Part of the 300 days is I was supposed to be the interim. I was supposed to, in the authority, you know, in the absence of the fire safety manager, I was supposed to be the go-to person. When Richard Fagan left in February of 14, that should have been my opportunity to be supervisor. I'd already had 2 men ahead of me, you know, all the time. Anyway, James didn't even communicate with me or answer me or anything during that time. And he changed the expectations on the annual evaluation 3 days before the new supervisor was hired, so that when my evaluation came around 3 or 4 months later, you know, it was all set up. The whole thing is set up. I can show it to you. I can show you the email threads. It's all in those documentations. I wish I was there to walk you through it, because I know without being me going through it, it's a lot to put together. But I've got it down. I've figured it out with the notes and the dates and pegged it. One of the things that James says that I gave presentations and talked about, I was having sex with my boyfriend and he had a seizure. Wow, is that a bald-faced, bogus lie? I gave CPR to my fiance when I was like 19. The week that we moved in together, I woke up and elbowed him. He elbowed me, and he was blue. Anyway, that stuff that they wrote about me, I never yelled at Swati, or they would have fired me for yelling. You know, I have the audios. They have the audios. I'd be curious to see, did they send you the audio? Because I sent the EEOC the audios. Anyway, I'm still friends with Bert. Hey, Facebook. And you know, he can tell you that what James is saying isn't true. And Babette Brock, or Perkins, she's the greatest witness. There's plenty of people that know how it was treated. And the people that they have as witness statements in the A&M thing, they either passed me in the hallway. I didn't really work with them. You know, there's only 2 out of the 12 that even told the truth that I can tell. I haven't looked at it lately because it upsets me. Anyway, I am honest. I am normal for me. I get it that my perceptions are maybe not the norm, but I am honest, and I was good at that job, and they wouldn't let me do the job. It's like they don't want to know anything is wrong if it's going to cost them money. And anyway, and I wrote that resolution in 2015. The idea was to get their attention, because for years they've ignored me and just acted like I was going to go away. And I'm not going away. So could we, I don't know, do whatever's next? Thanks.